What is up? It's another episode of the Hoof Podcast. What's good? I am Sturls. We got Anthony. He's back on
Heyo.
the other side. What's good, Anthony? How you doing, man?
Not bad, not bad. A little bit of action happened since I've been gone, huh? Quite the exciting couple of weeks here in free agency. But I took last week off to go see Hamilton with the wife. We had a great time. Thank you for covering Sterling. You did a great job hosting by yourself, being on. But I'm back and I'm ready to go. I'm feeling the energy, baby. We're gonna do this tonight. I had a wonderful week. I don't know about you.
Oh, you're dropping the Von. You're dropping the Vonderful. Okay. I see you with the play on words there, Anthony. I like that. I like that. No, man, it's last week was good. Even though our show happened right before the Von Miller news broke on Wednesday,
Yes,
right? It's still been a really good free agency period for the Bills, and even this week we've had some signings that we're going to talk about today and the impact that that's going to ensue once the season starts. But also we're going to do a live mock draft. So now that we've got some new additions, we want to see if those additions kind of alter how we feel about the draft and these prospects, or maybe does it change our positional view in terms of now we have Jameson Crowder on board and Duke Johnson? Can we push some things to the later rounds or not even at all? So we're going to talk about that as we move on. But before we do anything else, let's make sure we give some shout outs to the network. Our network is Cover One. This is the place where you can find all Bills content every single day, from film room to draft prospects to whatever it may be, man. We got you covered every single day of the week. So make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to the Cover One Network. Also, make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to the Hoof Podcast Live. So with that being said, man, my birthday is on Sunday. You didn't know that, did you, Anthony?
I did not, but yeah.
I'm gonna be 39. So this is my last year before I turn 40. Right?
Damn, man, you're old.
All right. You telling me, dog.
When did you get so old, man? How did you get so old?
I don't look old, you know what I'm saying? Because black don't crack. But hey, dog, I'm 39.
They don't call you girls for the girls for nothing, right?
Gotta keep the pimp pan strong, baby. No, man, but anyway, let's get some shout outs. Oh, my boy Brian Bowers.
What's up, Brian?
What is good, man? I haven't seen you in a minute. How you doing, bro? We got Vlad in here. Vlad says, let's go. Yes, sir.
Woo-hoo.
So anyway, man, if you guys are whoever's out there watching the show, listening to the show, be sure to send us a like, follow, and subscribe to the podcast. So with that being said, shall we get to news around the NFL? You ready for this?
Let's go, baby.
First topic. Davante Adams to the Raiders. This is another move for the AFC West that's already loaded. Now they go out and they talk to the Packers. They get Davante Adams, and apparently Aaron Rodgers knew that this was the move. This was the plan before he even signed. So this was something that was going on behind the scenes, and all of a sudden we see Davante Adams to the Raiders. He gets reunited with Derek Carr, his college teammate. Davante seemed pretty excited about it. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on that, man?
It was a big move. This one was a surprise. I don't think any of us saw it coming. We knew Adams wasn't happy with the contract situation, and he said, I want to have a long-term deal, big money deal, and I'm not going to sign the franchise contract. So we knew there was some stirring there, but for him to get traded just kind of on a dime to the Raiders, it was a big move for the Raiders. I think he's still a top wide receiver, if not the best wide receiver in the NFL right now, especially with the last few seasons he's put together. Now, can he do that same thing with Carr instead of Aaron Rodgers? That's the big question, I think. But this reminds me, the Raiders are like, okay, we need a top tier wide receiver. They tried this a few years ago, if you remember, with one Antonio Brown. Right. And that did not work out so well, right? They had to cut him. It got messy, right? And they offered him the big contract. This one seems like more of a can't fail situation, whereas you knew what you were getting into, taking the risk with Brown. So this one, I think it's a great move for the Raiders without a doubt. And Davante Adams got his money as well. So it makes that team more competitive in that division, which every team is getting better in. And the Chiefs were already on top of it. They've done the least, but they didn't have to. They were already on top. So yeah, I really like this move for the Raiders. But does it move the needle for me in terms of, oh, wow, the Raiders are going to compete now for a Super Bowl? Yeah, I don't think so quite yet. I want to see it in action to prove it to me. But Adams is the type of player that can take you a couple of steps forward.
Well, and when you look at the Raiders, we saw them take a step back after they lost Henry Ruggs. Their offense wasn't as potent because Henry Ruggs could just simply take the top off of defense,
yeah.
right? So, but it gave guys like Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller was already established target. Brian Edwards is a guy from South Carolina a couple years back that's really been a solid. He's been a solid contributor to the offense. And then they already got Jacobs as a running back. I mean, Derek Carr, for the knocks on Derek Carr, he's consistent, right? We know what he's going to give you. So you add Davante Adams to that. And his Davante Adams contract, by the way, is 5 years, $140 million. So that's a steep amount to pay. That only makes Stephon Diggs' price tag go way up. I mean, Stephon Diggs is severely underpaid in terms of wide receivers. We don't want to say that out loud, but it's true. All right. So
I have a feeling they're going to rework him after things happen before the season for sure. Definitely will, I think, and extend him. But you're right that a big contract like this in the position makes that price go up a little bit. But Diggs is not going to get Adams money, but he's certainly worth whatever they do give him.
Right. So, I mean, it's a worthy addition. I mean, Davante Adams is going to help that offense a lot. You got Josh McDaniels, now the head coach. I'm not sure about him as a head coach. We saw what he did in Denver, but everybody learns and grows. It was years ago. So let's see what they could do. But Chandler Jones, I mean, they are doing the necessary things to put themselves in contention. This was a playoff team last year. I'm not going to sit here and say definitively that they're not going to make the playoffs, but man, they definitely have their hurdles in front of them being in the competitive AFC West. Robert Woods to the Titans for a 6th-round pick.
Yeah.
Robert Woods goes to the Tennessee Titans. You made an interesting comment backstage, Anthony, about this. And tell the listeners what you said.
Which part? I don't remember which one you were talking about, but the big thing is this an upgrade over Julio Jones, who was cut for them? Julio obviously did not have a great year. He was injured up and down, did not work out the way they were hoping that move did. And now they're saying Robert Woods, coming off an injury, he's more dynamic in a lot of ways, and he's younger and hopefully healthier coming into the season. So their expectations are high for a guy like Robert Woods. And I'm pretty, if I were the Titans, I'd be excited about this move. This is a good move for them, even though you lost a guy like Julio Jones. And the other thing is, this is a situation where they knew, okay, we're not going to handle this contract, the Rams. Okay, we need to get the cap space. We're going to cut you. What can we get for you if we put you on the market? The Titans said, we'll give you a 6. Okay, that's better than nothing. We were going to cut him anyway, have his contract, take that money off the books. And I think one of the things you might be alluding to that I said was this a move to just keep him from going back to Buffalo, right? Because if you cut him, you don't know where he goes, and he could sign back to Buffalo, which would have been a great fit for our offense as well. But the Titans definitely got themselves a good player who can do a lot of things. I think he helps that offense in a lot of ways. It's a good move for them. If he can stay healthy, that's the big if and asterisk and, needs to happen for this to work out the way they want it to.
Yeah, and it's not like Robert Woods is perennially injured, right? He's a older player now. He's he's getting up there, but he's still a productive player. I mean, he was very productive for the Rams, and he's a jack of all trades kind of wide receiver. He's never had that top end speed, but he's a guy that can consistently get separation. He does a lot of his thing in the backfield, not as a running back, but just on sweeps and reverses and catching the ball behind the line of scrimmage and making things happen, the short pass game. I mean, he's just a really good, and he's a phenomenal blocker. I mean, that's one of his calling cards, his ability to block. We saw that here in Buffalo. So he's a good addition. I still think the Titans need someone who could take the top off of defense. They don't have that, and I think you're going to need that, right? But hey, maybe we don't know what they have in in terms of the draft. We don't know what their focus and mindset is, but letting go of Julio Jones, I still think they're going to need some more weaponry. And Ryan Tannehill is your quarterback, so I'm not a big fan.
That's what, he's inconsistent. He can be really good at times, and maybe a guy like Robert Woods is what he needs. Somebody that he can build that chemistry with and be kind of almost like the Cole Beasley was for Josh Allen the past few years, and be that connection that's reliable when things don't work out the way you want, because they do have good wide receiver on that team in AJ Brown. Now you have the complement there who can be, that guy who could be your go-to. So we'll see how it works out for that offense. But I agree with you that it is another situation that I said with the Raiders where it's, okay, this looks good on paper. Seems like really good fit. Put it into action. Let me see that chemistry with your quarterback and how it all works out.
For sure. All right, Deshaun Watson. Ooh. Can we talk about that? Deshaun Watson. Now, Deshaun Watson was traded last week to the Cleveland Browns. It came down between the Browns and the Falcons. And we all believed that the Falcons were the front runner early on. And, Deshaun Watson was a ball boy for them back in the day. And so, a lot of us, even Kyle Pitts, thought Deshaun Watson is going to be a Falcon, mm-hmm. right? And lo and behold, we see he had a meeting with the Cleveland Browns last week. And I don't know, how that meeting went, but apparently it went really well, to the extent of he's their quarterback.
Yeah.
But the reason why I bring that up is because there's been a lot of backlash. Even on Twitter, we're seeing a lot of Browns fans talk about how they don't like the move. A lot of them talk about they want to come join Bill's Mafia, in which I say there's always room in the Mafia, baby.
Hey,
you're come on home if you want to do that. But I'm not here defending, or the Hoof Podcast or Cover One, we're not defending Deshaun Watson in any means. We're also not a part of the legal process. We're going to talk about Deshaun Watson, the football player, here on the show. So with that being said, though, and we got to talk about, some of the other stuff. I mean, it is part of it, right? It's part of it. So do you think that it's irresponsible to trade for him and then make him the highest paid quarterback after his legal businesses or legal issues haven't technically been fully cleared up? There's still 22 pending lawsuits against him. What is your thought on that?
Yeah, it's a tough balance beam to walk on at this point in the NFL, because you're talking about a player. If we talk just about the football, there is not, and I said this a long time ago when Deshaun Watson originally asked for a trade, I said, there is not a price tag that is too high for Deshaun Watson, the football player. You want 10 first-round picks? If I'm a team desperate for a franchise quarterback, I'm giving you 10 first-round picks for 10 years to get Deshaun Watson, because he is a generational player at quarterback. He is a type of football player you want leading your team, because if he's out there, he gives your team the best chance to win, just like Josh Allen is for the Buffalo Bills. However, and that's the football side. Deshaun Watson is that good. He's shown it on the field. He was a top 5 quarterback before, all this happened. And then the trouble with, I want to, get traded, and the legal stuff came out, and these allegations against him make it a stickier situation. So yes, it's tough for a team. They have to weigh the options, right? So for example, would a McDermott or Bean, if they did not have Josh Allen on board, do I think that they would trade for a Deshaun Watson? No, I don't think that McDermott and Bean are the type of leadership that say, you know what, this guy's football and outweighs the trouble he's having off the field. They would not want that distraction. However, if you're the Cleveland Browns and you have crap to show for what you've done over the past few years, even when you're improving, you have to go all in like this and say, look, we've got a chance to get this franchise quarterback who's a top 5 guy. We're going to put the legal stuff aside for now, because as you said, we're not lawyers. We don't know how this is going to work out.
True.
We don't know the extent of what's being said and done, and what the outcomes are going to be. And obviously they have had discussions about the NFL conduct policy, and will Deshaun Watson get suspended this year? maybe, right? He might not play even this season. 6 games, 10 games.
You got to suspend him. There has to be. I mean, regardless
conduct
if he's
detrimental
right,
to the league,
wrong,
right,
or indifferent, something of that magnitude, there needs to be some repercussions
22
there.
women making allegations like this is
That's
certainly
rare.
something to be very concerned.
That's rare to have that many. So
right.
here's where I stand on the whole thing, Anthony, is that I never go full right or full left, right? I was there. The truth is always somewhere in the middle, right? And I feel bad for the people who were affected by this, because it's pretty sad, right? But again, we weren't there. This is only for us. It's only hearsay what we hear. I haven't, we are not privy, or I haven't read about the case and what the allegations are in detail and so forth.
A lot of it is in public. Yeah, we won't know.
Right. But the legal process, whatever that is, that's it is what it is. But Deshaun Watson, the football player we're talking about, he's a damn good football player. And I'm happy that the Cleveland Browns got themselves a franchise quarterback, and I think Cleveland is the place for him if he's going to rehab his career, rehab his image. I think you do it in a place like Cleveland because of there's such a loyal fan base there, right? These people are like Bills fans. They're a ride or die. They go hard for their people. And I think, Deshaun, whatever it is, man, make amends, continue to be a part of the community, do what you can. And I hope things work out for you, whatever,
right. And there's two sides to that coin too.
Right.
Deshaun Watson could have gone to Atlanta, which would have been a great place for him personally. He's got the connections there that you mentioned. And maybe that would have been a great fit, but Atlanta probably wanted to hedge their bets a little bit on what they were willing to offer him in terms of contract. And okay, we're going to work this away so we protect ourselves a little bit. Whereas Cleveland went all in on this deal, right? They gave him guaranteed every penny of this contract, most guaranteed money, biggest contract signing, as you said. And that is what drew him away from the situation in Atlanta. So it's a good business move for Deshaun Watson, regardless of whatever happens with him. It's good for him. But Cleveland, the fan base, if I were a Cleveland fan right now, I would embrace this, as both of us have talked about. Okay, this is definitely a red flag and concerns me that the team went after this player who has these personal issues that are coming out and are things that, basic human beings with decency would not support or, want any part of. However, you don't know what's going to result from this. It could end up in no proven allegations, no guilty verdicts, or whatever you want to call it. And if that happens, then he's innocent until proven guilty. And, it's a really tough line to balance. So Cleveland fans are looking at their team and saying, this is not a reflection of my personal values, but I do love and support this team. How do I balance these two things? And we won't know until it plays out. Right now, the reaction is to be hurt and to say, no, this is wrong. But maybe 2 years from now, when more of this is worked out and Deshaun Watson has started to atone for his ways, and as you said, the image in Cleveland, if he's that guy to then take Cleveland on a big playoff run or make them competitive for a Super Bowl year in and year out, then that's going to change the narrative for the fans football-wise. And then the personal stuff will also have to work out on the side as well.
It's
then
crazy.
They'll be brought to a different decision.
It's crazy. Just 2 years ago, there was a lot of chatter about Baker Mayfield being the toast of that class. And Baker...
Thank you for bringing up Baker Mayfield.
I had to.
You had to.
I had to.
I have been number one accused of being a Baker hater since day one. And coming into the draft when we needed a quarterback too, Baker was the one quarterback I said, I do not want the Bills to get. Do not give me Baker Mayfield. I'll take anybody else, not Baker Mayfield. And everybody's like, why? He won the national championship. No, I do not want Baker Mayfield. He's all personality. He thinks he's big and high and mighty about himself and not the team. And look what he did. He went out and did all these commercials. He played better in the commercials than he did on the football field for the team, and it's backfired on him. So I've been from day one saying that I do not think he's going to live up to the hype that he has because he puts himself first before the team. And he's 100% proven that every step of the way. What happened when they became sudden Super Bowl favorites? He got all these deals, all these commercials. Now you're going to have a quarterback. Deshaun Watson ain't getting any TV deals anytime soon because of what's going on with him.
Right.
That means he's going to be focusing on football. So now you have a quarterback who's focusing on football and not all this off the field me antics. And that letter from him, that crybaby letter about, oh, the team is pursuing another quarterback. Dude, if you were good enough on the field, they wouldn't have to pursue another quarterback.
And do you blame? Hold on. Do you blame Cleveland for going out and looking for another quarterback?
No,
what has he done? What has Baker Mayfield done to not warrant that treatment? Like, get out of here with the everybody gets a trophy. I have a chip on my shoulder. It's like, you can have a chip on your shoulder all you want to, but if you don't produce at the NFL level as a quarterback, I'm sorry, bro. But doing all that shit talking in the annex and the attitudes, I mean, he painted himself in a corner. I think if he would have conducted himself like a Russell Wilson, like a Josh Allen, like a Peyton Manning, people will have more grace and understanding. He could still be the quarterback, right? But because he didn't do that, and because, I mean, that's just who Baker is. Colin Cowherd's been on this dude just like you have, Anthony, for a long time.
Yeah.
And he's not franchise quarterback material in the way he conducts his business. So you can't be mad. But there's just this comment up here. So Darrell Fletch, man, that's one of my homies, dog. He's one of the realest out there. So, I'm giving a little shout out to my homie right there, but that's why I put it up there. Y'all need to put your handle in the chat, man, so people can follow you. But
yeah, it is. You're right. It's a tough situation. I don't blame him. It's tough to say either way. There's a football side, there's a personal side. Luckily, we as Bills fans don't have to worry about thinking about that. That's not our problem. We have the guy who is a amazing human being and an amazing quarterback on the field, and that's the best situation to be in. And it avoids that whole thing whatsoever. Whatever happens there, that's their problem now. Whether it works or doesn't, it's either going to be a great football move or one of the worst decisions ever to trade for. But now you think about where it leaves them with Baker Mayfield. There's talks about him possibly being traded. Seattle's in the mix. They need a quarterback. But having to give up a pick with Baker to get rid of him at that point. I mean, at that point, you might as well cut him and just let him walk and pick a team.
But I got one more thing to say about Deshaun Watson.
I saw you put this up earlier.
The internet is unfreaking defeated. I love, you know what, the Ozarks. If y'all ain't never seen it,
yes, it's a great show. Yeah.
I don't know shit about fuck. That's how old girl talks, man. And she's country as hell, and this is hilarious. So the internet is undefeated, man. They're undefeated. It's hilarious. I love it. But yeah, no, I agree with you 100% there. You know what? I will say this. You're right about Baker Mayfield. And
yes.
With that being said,
so many people gave me shit over the entire time I've been on this show with you guys. But I said it from day one. I hate Baker. He's not the guy. I don't want him.
You Bernie Sanders this. You've been consistently saying the same thing for a long time. So I give you credit for that. Matt Ryan, long time Atlanta Falcons quarterback, 28-3 Super Bowl. I don't want to say loser, but you lost. To the Colts.
Yeah.
For a third-round pick.
Yeah.
Now, the Colts believe they're just one missing piece away from making a run to the playoffs, right? I mean, they didn't make it last year. They got beat by the Bills the year before. I don't know if this doesn't move the needle for me.
To me, this is what they did 2 years ago when, you get the veteran aging quarterback who's at the tail end of his career and you say, what has he got left in the tank? This is the Matt Ryan. Now you have to prove it, right? Was it your fault Atlanta was struggling and you weren't living up to what you were in the years past when you were MVP and all of that? Or is this now you're in a good situation? You can be that character, that quarterback again, and come back to your flourishing self. Certainly Indy is hoping for that again. But if it ends up in a situation like they were 2 years ago, that's still not good enough for them. They're going to get to the playoffs and lose because the AFC is very competitive. So I think that's probably where I am on this. Does this improve them? Is this a good move for them? 100%. I think this is an awesome move for them. And on the other side of it, Atlanta is basically saying we give up. They traded him. They incur the highest dead cap ever, something like $40 million. But yeah, exactly. It is Phillip Rivers 2.0 that they're doing here. And hopefully they're hoping for more out of him in terms of production and winning playoff games and making that run. But I am not ready to say that Matt Ryan move takes them over the top over the other teams that are competitive in the AFC.
Yeah, I just don't think it doesn't. The AFC is just completely loaded. I mean, when you go from the list of quarterbacks and these rosters, I mean, it's kind of hard to find a place for the Colts. You know, there's a little exercise that we're going to do later in the show, but it's kind of hard to find a path for the Colts. Now, they would have to outright win that division, the AFC South, which is weaker compared to the likes of the AFC West, AFC
Certainly.
North, right? But they will have to come straight out win that division. I think the Titans are probably on their way on the downslope, to be honest. So there's an opportunity there, but they have to seize it. And I just don't think Matt Ryan is the guy for that. I just don't. So we'll see what progresses there. But, you know, the draft changed things. You know, maybe they can get some high impact guys from there offensively. I still think they need some wide receiver help. You know, Jonathan Taylor's a stud at running back, but I think they need wide receiver help. I think they could use a solid tight end as well. So we'll see what. And you got to keep Matt Ryan upright. So you might want to. I think that the Colts have a solid offensive line, but I think they could use a piece or two. You know, so we'll see what happens moving forward with the Indianapolis Colts. But with that being said, I think it's time for us to hit our Bills news, man.
Woot woot.
Yes. So, it's one of those things where it's like. I know exactly where I was when I first heard Mario Williams was a Buffalo Bill. And this is one of those moments in Bills history for me when I heard or when I saw Von Miller pop up on my phone that the Bills have signed Von Miller out of nowhere. Like the mystery team that we've all heard and people reported was the Buffalo Bills come out of nowhere and they signed freaking Von effing Miller. Like that to me is wild. You know, early mock drafts before this was, you know, we were doing this on the show. We talked about, hey, the Bills need a defensive end that's going to make a difference, right? Not just pressures. Pressures are good, but some finish out games and get sacks too. Von Miller gives you both.
He does it all. He does it all. Yeah.
So what was where were you? Because it was Wednesday. And what's your reaction to it? And then after that, I'll talk about how he fits in our scheme.
Yeah, I was home when I got the notification, and I am still in disbelief. Like, I watched his press conference with the Bills logos behind him, saw him hold up the 40 Von Miller jersey, and I still cannot believe this is actually happening. And I am absolutely crazy excited about this. Obviously, you could make the argument this is the Bills' biggest free agent signing ever, including the Mario Williams one, which was shocking at the time. But this is bigger than that in terms of the impact. You're talking one of the top elite pass rushers in NFL history, but currently now in the NFL. And for the Bills to get him to come here is absolutely amazing. And he spoke to that in his press conference, talking about it had to be something special to make me leave LA. It had to be something really special to make me want to not go back to Denver or whatever his other options were. And he said, what they have here is special. I think they're going to win one without me. They were going to win a Super Bowl. That's why I came here, because I want to be part of this. And, you know, having lived in Denver for 10 years, you're currently in Denver. I know I follow Von Miller very well and been, you know, able to watch him play with the Broncos multiple times. That when they won the Super Bowl, I've been to a few playoff games during that run, regular season games. Von Miller is always been the leader of that team, always. And he was not just on the field, but off the field. In Denver, Von Miller is a superhero. And I'm not kidding when I say that. You don't have to be a football fan. You go on the street and you ask any 8-year-old kid or 50-year-old adult or whatever, oh, Von Miller, they know who he is and they love him. And that speaks to Von Miller's character. And what I've been saying to people who have been excited about the Bills getting Von Miller is, yes, you are excited about, rightfully so, about one of the best pass rushers in the league and what he can do for this team. But what you don't understand is we are getting one of the best human beings in the NFL right now, too. And what that means to the locker room, I think literally if McDermott and Bean could concoct their own football player, you know, with character and process, it would come out as Von Miller. because he is that much, means that much as a human being and as a player and a person. He's so relatable. You can go to events and you see him interacting with people. He's a decent, amazing human being and an awesome football player who's going to rush the passer, something we've been looking for years, something they've tried to fill that gap in different ways for years, and he makes everyone around him better. He even said that in his press conference. They had the number one defense. Now they're adding me. How does that happen? Like, yeah, it's one of the most exciting things that's ever happened to me as a Bills fan, watching Von Miller saying, okay, this guy's coming to Buffalo. When I worked in Denver for a long time, my last lab that I worked in as a postdoc, before I left, they bought me a going away gift, and they wanted it to be something connected to Denver, and they know that I'm a huge sports fan and I do this podcast and everything. And what did they buy me? A Von Miller NFL jersey, like a legitimate Von Miller Denver Broncos NFL jersey. So now I have that jersey and I can wear it and rep both the Broncos in my time in Denver, but also now the Buffalo Bills and Von Miller. And yeah, so I just cannot contain my excitement about this, just from a football standpoint and as a human being, and what he's going to do to that locker room and fit in with the atmosphere that we know McDermott and Bean have cultivated already, and we've heard directly from players. You're muted, Sterling.
There we go. The signing is phenomenal, and I believe that Von is one of the most bendy pass rushers we've seen in the last 10, 15 years. I mean, his array of pass rush moves is incredible, and what he's going to be able to do, just think about this. Every practice, he's going to get the likes of, Greg Rousseau and Basham, talk to Ed Oliver, and these guys on the defensive line. He's going to help them, give them the tools of what it takes to win their battles 1v1, right? It's going to, let's just AJ Epinesa, throw him in there. Let's just say he really does stay for 3 years. You can't put a price tag on the knowledge dump that he's going to place on those young guys. And I mean, we saw flashes from both Rousseau and Basham and Epinesa. So now, and just think what the impact is going to have on Ed Oliver in terms of, now you have legitimately someone on the outside that you're going to have to double team. Brian Bauer says Von Miller will also be a coach to our young DNs too. This is a win. Plus Baker Mayfield is trash.
It was speaking to, yeah, exactly. I saw the super chat here from Brian. Thank you, Brian, and said, yeah, this is exactly on point with what you're saying, Sterling. So he's going to be bringing all those guys up,
right? And a lot of people ask, well, how are they going to use Von Miller, right? I don't expect them to change their defensive scheme. But Von Miller can play in the dirt. He has played in the 4-3 defense with the Broncos with Jack.
So explain that, right? So first of all, Von Miller normally, for most
he's
of his
career, 3-4 outside linebacker. So he stands up by the line of scrimmage and he rushes that way.
Correct.
He is extremely effective at doing that. You can also stand up in passing situations, or they could even do a wide 9 alignment where they kind of pin those defensive ends in. Like if you go look at, a Jim Schwartz defense, he could do a stance like that.
Right.
So it's going to put him in prime position and go straight at the quarterback. And when I say bendy, what he's able to do is he can get under an offensive tackle. He can, he can hand fight, use his hands in placement, on the shoulder, and he can bull rush. He can win with speed. I mean, he's a complete package. It's one of the reasons why he has, I think 115 sacks or so in his career. Von Miller he's coming off one of the best seasons he's had. Like, Von Miller is just that dude. And guess what? We talk about, okay, well, Sean McDermott and these guys, they don't really play their defensive ends that much. Well, you know what? If you go back and look at the snap counts in the Carolina Panthers, when they had bona fide edge rushers, they played them 65, 70, 75% of the snaps. So you're going to see Von Miller. I think you're going to see Von Miller play that high amount of snap count, but you're also going to see the benefits of having, when Trey White and I think our rookie cornerback, the coverage, I think you're going to see it's going to be a different ball game. I think we're going to see the Bill sack numbers increase, and I think it's going to make the defensive lineman better. So, that's an A+ move.
And The sticker shock originally, when you see the contract, you're like 6 years, 120. Whoa, this number is huge. What could it be? But when the numbers, I said right away, like, pump the brakes, don't get sticker shock.
Right.
When it comes out, it's going to be some kind of contract magic. And it was. It extends the signing bonus over the time of the contract. And basically it works out to 2 years fully guaranteed, and a third year pretty much, you can save some if you cut him or he retires, but he should be there for the third year as well, I would imagine, pretty much at 17.5, which was what Chandler Jones got. So that's pretty much the deal, the same exact deal that Von Miller got, which works out well. We were probably in on Chandler Jones as well to an extent, and to me, Von Miller is an even bigger fit.
Yeah, he is. He's going to be great. So the Bills also made another move as of yesterday. They went out and they got Jamison Crowder.
Ooh.
So Jamison Crowder is now a Buffalo Bill. This is a sneaky move. You got him on a 1-year, $4 million contract. He takes the Cole Beasley role, and he's, I think, 4 years younger than Cole Beasley. And he's faster than Cole Beasley. Now, I'm not going to say, I still think Cole Beasley is a better route runner, but I think,
and the
Jamison
chemistry
Crowder,
with Josh Allen.
right. And I think Jamison Crowder can get there, but I think, his ability, he's a really good route runner, and he gives you some explosion and run after catch ability. As we saw, he took one like 65 yards to the house on the Bills last season, right? So Jamison Crowder is a good wide receiver for that price. He's not, I've seen it both ways. People are kind of like, well, he's not all that. Nobody's saying that he's, Stephon Diggs, but Jamison Crowder now, Isaiah McKenzie in an elevated role, Gabe Davis, OJ Howard, and Dawson Knox. I mean, there's a slew of weapons, and they still don't have enough, in my opinion. I still think
wide receiver is still one of my desired positions.
You still draft two. You still draft two.
I want to. Yes,
you still draft two. So I like the move here. Statistically, I mean, you can see the stats here, man. This guy was drafted by the Washington football team in 2015, and he burst on the scene, right? Now, 2018, that was his last year at Washington. As you can see, he really didn't play that much, but he still averaged 13.4 yards a catch, right? So, coming as a rookie, how would you like a rookie to give you 59 catches, 600 yards, and 2 touchdowns? Oh, and by the way, he's a threat to get it out of the backfield too. But you can see, look at the long touchdowns. You can see that this guy has game-breaking ability, right? He is a good wide receiver. You throw him on the Jets with crappy quarterback play, and that's his numbers with crappy quarterback play. So, he's coming to the Bills with arguably the best quarterback in the league. And if you go look at what Josh Allen's done with talent that he's acquired from other places, he typically gives them the best season that they've ever had. Okay. So now I'm not going to count Emmanuel Sanders against that equation because he was an older aging player. But Jamison Crowder in this situation, I think the sky's the limit for him.
Yeah. It's funny to think about because Brandon Beane was on the Pat McAfee show, which was an awesome appearance. He had that quote where he said, "I would trade myself before I trade Josh Allen." That's been going viral a little bit. But he was so relaxed. He's like, "Oh yeah, we're done making moves now. We've done a lot to improve this team. We're pretty much done." Yeah. And then he goes and makes like 4 more moves right after the show, including this one, signing Crowder, which was a huge deal. This to me was the first, maybe not the first, but one of the signings where I say this is a Josh Allen discount signing, right? He said it's a 1-year contract, right? So he's saying, I want to go play with Josh Allen and then maximize my value. He's still only 28 years old, so he could play his 28. He'll be 29 next year and be a free agent again and say, I've played with Josh Allen. I've showed my entire skill set with one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I've had an amazing season. Now I'm going to cash in. So he took the discount, the $4 million contract. I don't know if the exact numbers have been released yet, but come out, take that deal, come to Buffalo, be your best self to cash in again. And so this was a Josh Allen deal for Jamison Crowder. He wants that benefit of coming to Buffalo. But the move, as you said, just unbelievable. The speed factor, right? How many times have we said we want that speed factor? This is a guy who can do that for you. The yards after catch, this is a guy who does that for you. He was not somebody, I knew he was a free agent, but not somebody I thought we ever had a chance of getting to sign. Although when we did our wide receiver thing, we did talk about signing a veteran who could come in and play in that slot position should we lose Cole Beasley for a cheaper deal, whichever one it was that was willing to take the deal. And I am so happy it worked out to be this one, because what a way to come to this team and improve, take a step up from losing a guy like Beasley. You still have to build that chemistry. I want to stay consistent, right? I said that about the other guys in the NFL that we talked about, Davante Adams and his new team, right? I want to see that with Crowder and Allen, but I'm excited to watch that grow on this team.
And you got to look at his injury history too. This is, what he's showed up on the injury report. I mean, he's had some nagging injuries, right? And he's missed some games. And so I think that kind of dips into one of the reasons why he got to sign a deal the way he did, but also to reset his market value, Anthony. So, you gotta take this into consideration. McDermott, these guys are big on availability. That's your best ability, is your availability. Now you're in an offense where you're not the focal point. So I do, and we've seen with the Bills that they've had a really good injury history, or they take care of their players. They
facilities,
do it right, the facilities and everything. So I think this is the best place for Jamison Crowder. But I also want to bring up another guy, Duke Johnson. Okay, now we saw the J.D. McKissick thing not go over well, and we've heard, I don't know if you guys haven't heard, but Brandon Beane was not pleased with how the football team handled, or the Commanders, if you will, how they handled that whole situation. Brandon Beane, you could tell that the displeasure on his face. I mean, basically he was saying they're full of shit, and ethically they were wrong in how they conducted business. And so, and we don't see Brandon Beane be that passionate about something like that. So that rubbed him the wrong way. So I don't expect the Bills to be doing any business with the Commanders anytime soon. And then because Brandon's got some boys over there, Rivera and other guys in the front office that are connected to Brandon Beane. So J.D. McKissick, he decided that he didn't want to come, but the Bills went out and they got Duke Johnson. And I have to say, I mean, McKissick is a better running back, but it's not like both of these guys are just earth movers. I mean, I think, if we're really being honest, Duke Johnson probably gives you, he's more of a traditional running back than said J.D. McKissick. But Duke Johnson, if Duke Johnson's your third running back, I'm not mad about that, right? From a statistical standpoint, Anthony, we look at Duke Johnson and this is what he's produced, right? So, he's never had over 420 yards in a season running the ball, right? But he can catch the ball in the backfield.
Yes.
And he can get to pay dirt, right? So 4.3 yards a carry is not bad. I mean, the fumbles have been there. Okay. But he didn't have any fumbles last year with the Miami Dolphins, but no one could run with that Dolphins offensive line last year. So you can see his numbers kind of dip there. But and he played with Houston and Cleveland.
Yes, bad teams again. Miami couldn't maximize the run either, right?
And Cleveland had a loaded backfield. So let's see. We don't know if the Bills' backfield is going to be loaded by the time we start the season. We don't know what they're going to do in the draft.
Loaded.
I would No, you never know, because one of these
know. This is the move. Yeah, the fifth round back could take Singletary's spot.
Elijah Mitchell was a guy who was undrafted.
But we know what Duke Johnson is. I think regardless, he's going to be on the roster to start the season. Why? Because he's the third down back. He's the power back. He can catch the ball. This is the guy that is the move, right? You brought in the veteran presence for the room. You brought in a guy who can be a reliable pass catcher, who can be a power back. And it leaves a lot in question for what happens with Zach Moss. And, I've talked about that on the show too, with him being inactive toward the end of the season. Has the coaching staff completely lost faith in Zach Moss? If they end up drafting a guy, even if it's in the fifth round, I think that does mean that you end up making Zach Moss expendable and moving on from that and giving him another chance to catch on somewhere else. But I love this Duke Johnson move, and it removes the immediate necessity where everybody wanted to say, okay, we need a running back early in the draft. No, we never needed a running back early in the draft, but signing a veteran like this and having Singletary, it keeps the running back room right where you need it to be. I do agree that if we draft a fifth round guy that can be the speed guy that can add another element, I'm perfectly happy with that. Great. Let's throw that guy in there. And now we've set that room up for success even more. So I love this move, actually. It's a quiet move, but It doesn't totally move the needle, but it does improve the room and does exactly what we needed it to do.
No, it does. And we'll see, like you said, I think it's time. I mean, we've talked about a lot on the show tonight. I think it's time that we get ready for our mock draft. Okay. And now, Anthony, you were not here last week.
Before we totally move on to the mock draft, just quick hitters, right? Like, okay, we brought in the backup quarterback in Case Keenum, right? Now that's a pretty good move. You're talking about a starter level quality, another need filled, right? You've checked that box. You also brought back 3 former Buffalo Bills in the
Shaq
last
Lawson,
week.
Phillips,
and Matt Barkley, right? So you're bringing back the guys who want to come back to this culture, especially guys like Phillips and Shaq, who were such a big part of the energy in the room for this team, and they wanted to come back and be the best versions of themselves again. They're not going to be the every down starters or the relied upon guys anymore in this defense that Bean has put together, but they're going to be important pieces, and wanting to come back, I think, is a big factor as well.
Okay,
so I just wanted to bring that part up before we moved on, because I do think it's a big...
So, and one more thing while we get our mock draft set up. Let's start this exercise here. So which of these, and I want you guys in the chat to get in on this real quick, because I want to know what you guys think. But out of these teams, who doesn't make the playoffs?
Woo.
So you have the likes of Mitchell Trubisky, Matt Ryan Tannehill, Josh Allen, Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert. You got Joe Burr, Mac Jones, Derek Carr, Mahomes, Watson, and Lamar Jackson. That's the loaded AFC.
Wow.
7 teams make it, right?
Look, you got to take 4 off of this list, right?
4 off the list.
I'll tell you who I'm taking off right away. 2 teams that come off right away. The New England Patriots and the Steelers.
So 5
Why do
teams.
I say that?
5 teams don't make it.
5 teams have to come off. Wow, that makes it even harder, right? That's crazy. Wow, 5 teams on this list will not make the playoffs, and all of them are playoff worthy, pretty much. I would argue that the Steelers aren't quite there yet. They have the elite guys on defense. We don't know what their offense is going to be now that Big Ben is gone. So the Steelers, to me, are down at the bottom, and the New England Patriots, I think, there's no argument to be made with the moves they made and the direction they're going currently, other than I'm in love with the New England Patriots of the past, and everything goes wrong with some of these other teams. The AFC East, other than the Bills and the Patriots, is a little weaker when you're considering that there's 4 other teams, from the same division on this list. But I'd probably take those 2 out right away. And who are the other 2? I think my other 2 would have to be the Raiders.
You're gonna need 5 teams.
5, the Raiders, the Colts. My God, yeah, it's going to be so competitive. The Broncos maybe would have to be that fit. It's really hard. It's really hard.
It's really hard. So I would go Steelers. I would go Colts. I would go. I think the I think the Raiders and the Chargers don't make it.
Okay.
I think the Bengals don't make it.
Yeah,
I just think that their path was so fluky last year.
Yes, it was.
And the Browns, I mean, Deshaun Watson possibly could be out 6 to 8 games, right?
Yes,
so
that's a big. We don't know what's going to happen there.
So look, I mean, it's going to be a bloodbath regardless. But I don't. And the Patriots, I mean, shit. The Patriots,
they don't belong there. They don't.
Like you made a good point. They really haven't done anything.
Hey, they've got a Pro Bowl quarterback, all right? You're
we're
right. In a division with a Pro Bowl quarterback, all right?
I stand corrected. McCorkle is a damn Pro Bowl quarterback. The guy, get out of here, man. I'm so over him. God, I'm so over him. So, okay, Anthony, and you guys at home. Hold on now. So this is mock draft time. We can't be fooled. We can't be messing around when it comes to the mock draft. Okay, so we got some we got some stuff to handle in here. Okay, we gotta sort this out. So mock draft music, here we go. Okay, I don't know if you guys are ready for this, but Anthony,
let's do this, baby.
The Bills are number 25. We're pick number 25.
Yeah, so we can. Did it start up here? Because one of the things I think we can discuss as it's running through the picks is what's going to happen in 25. I've been doing a lot of these mock drafts, using the Draft Network platform, and as much as we know, the number one need on this team is cornerback right now. Without a doubt, I don't think anybody would say otherwise. So many cornerbacks are gone. All the first-round guys are gone well before 25.
And that's what's happening right now.
Exactly. We just saw them all go off the board there. And it's tough when it comes to 25 to say, what do you do at that position?
Right. And we're not taking any trades. That's not what we're going to do here.
Not yet. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're at pick number 25 now. You guys in the chat definitely want your guys' feedback as we talk through this. So let's see who's on the board. Let's right off the bat, I mean, the best player that I see on the board right now is Davante Wyatt, and he's the interior defensive lineman. Now, Brandon Bean is said he would go best player available. Davante Wyatt is a damn good interior defensive lineman, can rush the passer. I'm not saying we pick him. I'm just saying he's the best player on the board right now. But I don't think, a lot of teams say they're going to take the best player available, but they definitely go by their draft board. So with that being said, go ahead and show us what's on the cornerback market, Eric. Who's available as the cornerback? Oh. So we got Kyler Gordon and Tariq Wooden, Roger McCreary, Mario Goodrich. Now, Darion Kendrick ran a terrible 40 at his Georgia Pro Day. So, I mean,
right now, I don't think you can take these guys at 25. One of the options that we have to be realistic about now, if they want one of the top cornerbacks, they're clearly going to have to trade up to get one of those guys. I don't think that's an ideal scenario. I think that's less likely to happen. But what could happen here, if I'm in this position, you're looking to trade down and say, okay, there's not an excellent fit here, although there's some players we could get from this. We know we need a cornerback. We could trade down in the first round, pick up another second, third round pick, and then use those to move up in the second round to get the cornerback at the spot we want to get that cornerback. But with the people that are on the board now, Eric, if you want to go over to wide receiver, I think that, this is another position we talked about. We want to draft two of these guys. The two names, or maybe three if you want to talk about them, the one that jumps out to me that I would definitely consider at this spot is Treylon Burks, because I think that, with Jamison Crowder's situation only being a one-year guy and Burks being on the board here, I would certainly consider taking him. And then Olave, who we know we've talked about before on the show as well, that could be that legitimate number 2 receiver next to Stephon Diggs, or at least come in and compete with Gabriel Davis to be the starting number 2 receiver. So those two guys I would be happy with taking at this point. Okay. Do we want to go back to the big board and see what other positions?
No. I think we park it here on wide receiver. So I don't want Treylon Burks.
You don't want Burks.
I think it's between Olave and Dotson here. I think Jahan Dotson is probably somebody you can get in the second round, early second round. So with us having the 25th pick, I think you go with a guy like Chris Olave.
I'm okay with
Chris Olave is a guy that he can get open, shallow crossers, deep middle. He can take it down the seam. He's one of the best route runners in this draft, and he's a speed guy.
6'1".
And he's got adequate size. I think Chris Olave is the play here, and he's got really good hands. So, in the chat, we are taking. Okay, so we see some of you guys say take Olave.
Couple don't like Burks here. Yeah, all right.
Burks. John
I would take him.
Trade back for corner, but I think Olave is the play here.
Yeah,
Olave is the play.
Certainly, I'm on board.
All right, we're going to take Chris Olave. Now we're going to pick 57. We don't want to take anyone's trades. So now we got our cornerback. Our wide receiver.
Wide receiver. Cornerback is still a big need. We're not doing trades tonight, but this is definitely where now you're thinking about where is the cornerback you want on the board.
Okay, so Anthony, I got a question for you. I got a question for you, Anthony. I know last season the Bills took 2 defensive ends, picks 1 and pick 2. I still think wide receiver is a need.
Yes.
I mean, what if Gabriel Davis is like, he's going to want a lot of money. What if you can't work something out with Stephon Diggs? You have to put yourself in position. And who says, you don't never have enough receivers for Josh freaking Allen? You kidding me?
There are some receivers in 3 and 4 that I think will be available that I really love.
Okay,
but we're at pick 57 here. What do we got?
We see a game breaker in Kenneth Walker the second and the third.
What position is he again?
He's a running back. Isaiah Spiller is there. Breece Hall is there. Travis Jones is a really good interior defensive lineman.
Yes, that's immediately. Right? I was going to say that's who I'm taking at this point. That's who I would default to. I'm not taking a running back here, even though the 3 names that you just mentioned are all potential, improvements for sure. Guys I would love to have on my team. But here, Travis Jones to me, interior defensive line. We did sign a couple guys, but we need to have somebody for the long term. I would want that person to be on this team now and learning from the guys that are there now.
Don't pick him yet.
But that's definitely where I'm gravitating.
Okay, so we'll throw him in the mix as a guy that we're willing to pick. So let's go look at cornerback. Let's see who's on the board at corner. So we still have Darion Kendrick there. Mario Goodrich. I think Mario Goodrich is a good corner. I think the value meets up here. Alontae Taylor's a guy that's athletic. He's got some length to him from Tennessee. I think that's a guy we should consider here. And Cam Taylor-Britt. So there is something to be said about, because the run on corners happened in the first round. I think if you want a cornerback in round 2, if you believe in him, and now keep in mind, this is McDermott's calling card. He does a really good job of taking talent at corner and making it better. Now, that doesn't mean I say draft a corner in the round 7 or 6, but I think it's not crazy to say that Cam Taylor-Britt could be the play here. So would you rather have Travis Jones, defensive tackle UConn, Cam Taylor-Britt, and I say Mario Goodrich? Between the 3 in the chat, who do you take?
Oh, it's a tough choice here, but I'll tell you what, the reason I'm thinking we can get a corner in the next round, we would have to pick a corner in the next round pretty much. But you just listed those Cam Taylor-Britt's the 5th cornerback on this list. But I think you're right. He could be picked earlier. He could be picked right in this range. Oh man, it's tough. Do we bypass cornerback? I'm still going with the interior defensive line.
Let's go Travis Jones here, man.
Let's do it.
He's the best player on the board.
Yes, exactly.
I think you can't go wrong here. We can't go wrong with Travis Jones here. Let's take Travis Jones. So now we just beefed up that defensive line even more. We know McDermott and Bean love their defensive linemen. That's not a bad pick. You really got the best player on the board at the time.
Yes.
So we don't want
there's already people saying no cornerback in the first round. We tried that. There weren't any cornerbacks to take.
Just because you just don't take it to take it. I think the value needs to meet there. Right?
Exactly. You're not going to draft a cornerback who's a 2nd or 3rd round grade in the first round.
And I think, with that being said, you got your guy, right? You got Olave is going to come in and produce. You got Travis Jones that can come in and produce.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Right? So
big names. Those are 2 big
names. Those are 2 really good names. Starting. 2 really good guys there. So now so now we're in the 3rd round. Okay. I think we go cornerback here. And we see what's on the board. So let's look at right now the tight ends right now are all on the board. I don't think we need a tight end. I don't think we have
I'd be happy with drafting one to develop behind. Again, you only have OJ Howard on a 1-year deal, but not in this round, not at this point in the draft. There's not a tight end I'm in love with here. McBride, I don't even think he goes this high.
Before we continue, Alontae Taylor in round 3, big guy with very good speed, and he's a solid tackler. I don't disagree with that, Silas. But let's see what's up, man. JR, what's good with you, homie? Okay, so back to round 3. Hey, James Cook is a guy I'm really high on, a running back in round 3. That's not bad. This is the brother of Dalvin Cook. Very similar athletic build. James Cook is a guy, and he can play receiver. Like he can catch passes out of the backfield. Like this dude, he's good.
Yeah,
he's good. That's not a bad value here. So
I like it.
Let's just put him in there. So let's say James Cook is 1. So let's go to cornerback and see what we have. I still think cornerback is still the overarching need here.
Okay. Cam Taylor-Britt's still on the board.
It's a no freaking brainer.
Yes, so that's got to be.
It's a no-brainer. Got to go Cam Taylor-Britt here. Got to go. I mean, look, man. The guy, Cam Taylor-Britt, is an athletic freak. He's impressive. He tracks the ball. Look, man, he's good. Cam Taylor-Britt, He's a really good guy. He's a
If
really
he's
good
still
player.
there at this point in the third round, I think I would be surprised, but I'll take him. That would be great.
Roll the dice, baby. Cam Taylor, Britt, we're taking him. So I think round 4, Anthony, let's look at the running back position. I still think that's
certainly now. There's been a few names on the board. It's been hard to turn down. You're talking about me, who's always anti-running back, but in the second round and in the third round, we had options there to consider.
Right. So running back, wide receiver is still a need, in my opinion. Linebacker and interior offensive lineman, I think, are our 4 needs, or at this point in the draft, I think that's where we need to find value here. So, I think our next pick is 130.
James Cook just went to the Giants of all teams, right? So going over to play with former Bills offensive coordinator.
Let's see. Rashad White, Arizona State.
All right, here we go.
Jelani Woods, 6'7", beast of a tight end. Just want to throw that out there. Kyron Williams and Damian Pierce, running back. Rashad White. Jerome Ford is a guy. I think we can get him in the 5th round.
Okay. So who are you looking at here? This is where I think the tight end on the board in Woods could be.
The best player on the board is Jelani Woods. He is the best player on the board at tight end. Okay. He's a 6'7". The guy can run.
Woo,
that boy big. That boy is big. And he's athletic.
Yeah.
I'm
More weapons for Josh Allen.
I'm not saying we take him. Okay. But
you wanted to consider running back here, and we do have a few running backs on the list. Is there one that you're gravitating towards? Because I'm not so sure I would
I'm not sold on these guys. They don't, I want Kyron Williams is a good running back, but I like Jerome Ford better, but I don't want to take him here. So let's look at interior offensive lineman here.
Definitely another position that we could definitely use. And we've kind of, unfortunately, the way the draft board has fallen, there haven't been a lot.
So we might lose Ryan Bates. So I think, are we cool with Cody Ford being the guy? I don't know, man.
I'm definitely not. So, yeah, we've got a few names here. I mean,
Tyrese Robinson, Donovan West. I mean, Leviticus Smith and Thayer Munford, but I wouldn't take them here. Cade Mays, will he fit with the scheme? He got short arms. I'm not ready to take an interior offensive lineman here.
I don't think I am either.
Yeah.
There's not.
Yeah. So what go to corner. Might have to double dip on the corner here.
We could definitely double dip on the corner. I would love that.
Kobe
and wide
Bryant.
Receiver. I think we also look at wide receiver here. Kobe Bryant.
My favorite corner left is Isaac Taylor Stewart out of USC. I do like Kobe Bryant, who played across from Sauce Gardner, is a good cornerback as well. I think he got overshadowed a little bit. So let's keep Kobe Bryant around. I think Cam Taylor Stewart we could get later. Let's go wide receiver. Let's see if Justin Ross is still here.
Oh my guy, Romeo Dubes still on the board.
Oh, okay. All right, now let me make a case for Justin Ross real quick. Justin Ross is 6'3", 6'4". He has proven production. I mean, this guy would have been a first-round draft pick had he not been injured, had he not played with bad quarterback play. He's still a really good wide receiver. He could, at the catch point. I mean, he's a jump ball guy. He's a long strider. He has good ball skills, man. And I don't think you can. Let's say if Gabriel Davis, this is his last year. Let's say you got to have somebody. You got to restock the deck, man.
Well, if you have, get Davis would have 4 years, so he's got 2 years left.
2 years left.
But still, I think your thought process is right. But remember who our first round pick was in this particular mock. It was Olave, and if he's going to be that number 2 guy, right? Assumingly, I would want a slot receiver in this position, somebody who could fill that role. And I'm looking at Romeo, who's right above him. Romeo Dubes, my guy. Dubes. I don't know how to say his last name. Pronunciation of these guys is crazy. But, I think this is a guy, I've watched his film just because I said I like his name. I've got to check this guy out. And I'm surprised he's still here on this board at this point. But certainly somebody I would like to pick up if I were doing the draft. But I'm partial because his name is Romeo, right? I was drawn to him because of that. But I do like his style of play and definitely think he could fit on this Bills team. So we got a couple of receivers. What position do you think Let's settle on a position
I'm gonna let
first.
you. Okay, I'm gonna let you make the call here. I'm gonna let you pick it. So we looked at interior offensive linemen.
Yes,
we looked at cornerback, and I think wide receiver,
tight end. There was a tight end on the big board.
Now the best player available is tight end Jelani Woods. He is the best player available right now.
And like I said, we could use that stability at tight end too. If
get rid of Sweeney, and there's your 3 tight ends, man.
Exactly.
You know, OJ Howard is 6'6".
Let's go.
Jelani Woods is 6'7".
Let's go with Woods. Yeah, I'll take him.
This is your insurance, because you know you're not going to be able to keep OJ Howard after this year.
Right. Exactly.
Let's go Jelani Woods.
And the same thing with Crowder, which is why I wanted that slot receiver too.
Okay. Now we're going into the 5th round. I think this is the money spot for a running back. If we can get Jerome Ford here in the 5th round, I think he should be in play. If not, I think we look at cornerback.
Yep, cornerback, running back, certainly interior offensive line. We haven't picked one, and it does feel a little like uneasy, almost like, oh my God, we haven't drafted an offensive lineman yet.
Jerome
we need to get
Ford,
in it.
Let's see if he lasts to us. I would be excited if he gone.
Oh, he didn't last. Huh?
Okay. Now Hassan Haskins is my guy, Michigan guy. That's really good.
Oh boy.
Now, hey, listen.
He's on the board.
Respect on his name, but they took our cornerback too.
He's off the board. 4 picks ahead of us. Wow. That's how this is gonna go late in the draft here, and why it's valuable to have some extra picks that we probably won't use. We can trade away to move up just a few slots, and that's where it's going to be key.
I'm not comfortable taking a running back that's not Jerome Ford here. I like Hassan Haskins. I think we could probably get him in the 6th round. I think he still might be there. So, you know what, man? I say we look at, we got Super Chat here. Let's address that real quick. Carl Thomas says, how about these picks? At pick 1, Trevor Penning, or Northern Iowa, former teammate of Spencer Brown. He's a dog. Trevor Penning is the meanest mother effer in this draft. Kaiir Elam from Florida, he wasn't there. He was not there, and I don't think Trevor Penning is going to be there at 25. Right. Kaiir Elam is not going to be there at 57.
But theoretically, if these guys are there,
Tariq Woolen's going to go in the 2nd round. So
that's still, if theoretically I like that, but I still want a receiver. Then I would go receiver in the 4th. If this is how it works out.
I do appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat, but I just don't see that happening. All right, so we're back on our grind. So
cornerback again. You could go wide receiver. Let's look at the wide receivers who are still here in this round. Let's look at the wide
receivers.
I'm kind of looking more for
Justin Ross is still here. I think we take him.
Yeah, I think this is a good spot for him. You made the case for him in the last round, and he's still here. What other positions? Interior offensive line. I think we definitely have to give a look here. If you're not at this point,
Thayer Mumford's a good interior offensive lineman.
Okay. Yeah. Ooh.
I mean, he's a big boy. I like it. Cade Mays. These are some offensive linemen here. So,
seems like a good spot for offensive line.
Listen. Let's go offensive lineman, Anthony.
All right, we're gonna have to do it. Do you have a
preference? Hold on. Talk me out of this. Like Justin Ross, high upside wide receiver. He gives you something that you currently don't have. Is that big in the receiver room? He's a big target with great ball skills. We don't have that. We tried to do that with Isaiah Hodgins. It ain't working out. In the chat, do we go offensive line Cade Mays? Or Thayer Mumford, or do we go Justin Ross?
I think my choice at this point would have to be interior offensive line.
As
much as I want to double dip, as much as I want to double dip on the wide receiver, and I'm preaching it, but
okay, I think Thayer Mumford is a better prospect. Though.
Okay, I'm okay with that. Yep, I think he would be my choice here as well.
Yeah, let's go. I think he gives you more in the run game. Aaron Cromer can do something with him. Let's go. And he's more athletic than Cade Mays. So let's go with Thayer Mumford here.
Perfect. That's the pick.
Man.
Yeah, it's tough though, right? See, this is and it happens when you're watching the draft live after you've done research on a bunch of these guys and you're like, oh, my guy's still on the board.
Okay.
And he goes 2 picks before
if we can get Hassan Haskins here. He
just went off
just
the
left.
board.
Okay, all right. Okay, now we're in the 6th round. This is the money spot.
This is good running back.
Our guy Isaac Taylor Stewart is still available. Cornerback, 6'2" out of USC. I think he's a guy that I think he's a Levi Wallace type.
Right,
is a slightly more athletic than Levi.
I like that comparison, and I think we definitely need the bodies at cornerback, and you want to generate competition, right? Levi won the job. There's no reason saying just because you drafted a guy in the 3rd round, he's going to be your starter over whoever you draft in this round. So I like the double dip on cornerback here. Go ahead.
We have to look at linebacker though. Linebacker's a sneaky need. I think. Are you comfortable with Giles Harris and Smith back there?
Yes, and they signed back what's his name, Lee, Markel Lee, right? I mean, none of them are confident.
What
guys.
if you can't re-sign? What if you're going to have an issue? You're not going to have the cap space to sign Edmonds. What are you going to do?
Still think double dipping on cornerback is more important to generate that competition.
All right,
I'm more confident in the competition at linebacker than I am at cornerback. So let's take the cornerback.
Let's take Isaac Taylor Stewart with this pick here.
We do have another 6th round pick, right? So.
Yep, and then we have 1 7th round pick because we sent the other one to Cleveland for. So we got 2 picks left.
So I think our positions remain. Running back is one that we were looking at, maybe.
Okay. So now, if you want to go running back, I think Tyler Algier, he gives you some speed, right?
That's definitely the feature that we need, right? I want the fastest. Right. If we're going running back, that's what I want. I want the fastest guy on this list, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he feels that need.
That's not bad.
Let's do it. We don't even have to debate at this point.
Okay,
we knew running back was a need.
Let's go.
Speed is there.
Yeah. Get Tyler from BYU.
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right. Our last pick. I think your last few picks should be high upside guys. Right? Guys that they're projects.
Something you are confident in. We did make the double dip at cornerback. We've got a tight end, an offensive lineman, wide receiver in the 1st. I love the Travis Jones pick. I really hope that that's how it works out.
No, Anthony,
wide receiver in the 1st,
pick.
Travis Jones in the 2nd. I love that. I would, and I firmly believe that sets you up for success long term if, one of those guys that we signed isn't there in 2 years.
And Strong did run like a 4.4, but I think Tyler gives you more at the running back position, not just speed. He could do a little more. So that's why I felt we needed to go with him there. Let's get some upside, maybe some depth.
Yeah, this is a fun pick. Now we're at 7.
Right.
You're looking for, is there a name on this list that just pops out to you that you're like, oh, I can develop this guy, stash this guy, get the most out of this guy. Oh,
Derek King is intriguing, but that boy can't throw the ball. He's an athlete.
I don't know about quarterback at this point. I think that's, the least of my concerns now that we have the 3 in place that we do. Yeah. Safety. We've got a couple of edges, another wide receiver. If we were looking at wide receiver, I would have to find a guy who is
okay. I got a name for you.
You do? All right, throw it at
linebacker. At linebacker, Nate Landman out of Colorado.
Oh, I like the hometown guy.
Okay, Anthony, I don't know if you recall, but we talked about this guy a lot last year.
Yes.
He decided to go back to college. This guy is a tackling machine.
Yes.
He is a tackling machine. Instincts. He's a leader. I think he's just not the most athletic guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think his instincts and smarts make up for the lack of athleticism.
And it's because we're already talking about this is the 7th round. You're talking about a guy that McDermott and Bean are going to say, we like something about him and we want to maximize his other
You want to
traits.
get rid of Tyler Matakevich, this is your guy. After the season.
Maybe he could be the next Tyler Matakevich.
He could do the AJ Klein thing.
I like it. If you're that confident in him, you've sold it on me. Again, that's the type of player I want here in the 7th round. Just somebody who's exciting that you're like, you know what? We can take this guy and make him something for us.
He's going to come in and he's going to work his ass off. Like, you don't have to worry about his character. He's a solid individual.
Yes. Let's take a look at wide receiver, too.
Let's take a look at wide receiver before we get out of here.
Yeah, I just want to see, at the bottom, and I'm probably not going to know all of these names getting this late now.
Okay, Slade Bolden.
But I'm looking for more of a slot slot receiver type, because we already got our number 2 in Olave.
So Ty Freifogel is a funny ass name, but he produced at Indiana.
So it gets pretty thin here. So I think going with the linebacker is fine. You made the case, and I like the idea. That is 100% the type of player I want here.
Yeah, Nate Landman. Let's go, baby.
Colorado, hometown guy.
Hometown guy. Okay, so we concluded our NFL draft. We took Chris Olave in the first, Travis Jones at pick 57, interior defensive lineman. We got our cornerback in Cam Taylor-Britt. We got a freak of nature in Jelani Woods in the 4th round. Thayer Mumford's the guy that's going to come in. If Ron Bates leaves, he can battle out with Cody Ford to see if they could be the starting right guard. And then Isaac Taylor-Stewart's going to give you the tall, lengthy Levi Wallace type replacement, a guy that you could develop and groom. And then Tyler Algier from BYU, running back late. He's going to give you some speed, but he can also catch passes out of the backfield, and he's a solid contributor there. And then Nate Landman in the 7th round, linebacker out of Colorado.
Sterling, this is the first one we've done together this year, and I tell you what, I would sign the dotted line for this draft right here.
This isn't bad, right?
Sign me up. This is exactly what I'm looking for. We got a lot of the things that we need and want, and especially those top 3, those top 4, really. I mean, and then you get the interior offensive line depth. I mean, you can make an argument for me, those top 5 are exactly the type of guys I want in those positions. Sign me up. Sign, Sear, deliver. This is probably one of my favorite mock drafts of the offseason so far.
Well, with that being said, I think we're out of here, Anthony. I think we've wrapped up the show for tonight. This is the Hoof Podcast on the Cover One Network, and we will be back with you all next week. Thank you for listening and watching the show. My name is Sturls. We got Anthony on the other side. And guess what, folks? We out of here.